Hello, welcome, and hi. As always, I'm your host, Doc Tima, and welcome to 3 Minute or Thereabouts Media Literacy. This time around, I want to talk about media ownership and how we got to where we are today, with 10 companies owning more production brands than media companies. During the word oligopoly will be mentioned. This will align with another term that has been used in the news a bit currently, the oligarch. Hopefully, this will help clear some things up. Let's start with current media ownership. In 1983, approximately 90% of the media was owned by some 50 different companies in the United States. At this point, cable TV had moved from being a rural extension to its own commercial entity. Radio was still the dominant or a dominant form of media, and the cassette was king for recorded music. By 2011, 90% was now owned by just six companies. Six. And now in 2025, the largest owners are not media production companies, they're tech companies. The folks who control the tech and the infrastructure of how you stream and download your music and your video and your video games and your apps. Apple, AT&T, Google, and Amazon, they own a large share of the media we consume, yet they do not create much of it. Yes, Apple and Amazon have production companies now, but the vast majority of the content that is consumed is owned by companies that these companies own. Just contemplate that. So why is this? There's been legislation for a long time that leads to this moment. The primary culprit is the Federal Telecommunication Act of 1996, the FTA 96, signed into law by President Bill Clinton and created in partnership between the White House, Congress, and the major media conglomerates of the time. By loosening restrictions, these companies went in and bought the smaller ones and either A, closed them down to help with competition, or B, reprogrammed them as repeaters of the same shows like reality TV. They closed newsrooms and turned newspapers into carbon copies of the other ones to save money, or shut them down completely, never to reopen. It's because that last thing and everything else that we have what are called news deserts now all across the United States. And I would argue it is also because of this that news has moved from reporting and journalism to talking heads and opinion pieces. This is where the Ollie word comes into play. What we are experiencing now is no longer limited ownership, which was the whole goal in the back in the day, to diversify the marketplace, be good for the consumer, and still be profitable for, capitalism. It is an oligopoly, where a few companies own and program the vast majority of the content and work in concert with each other to make sure profits stay high for them and the messages are, well, maintained and controlled. Consider the companies that I mentioned above. Consider a few more you can probably think of. And it could be argued that we exist now in a tech media oligarchy in the making. As my colleagues that teach journalism practices and ethics tell their students, only when news can be trusted to do what it is supposed to do, rather than what owners tell it to do, can a vibrant society thrive. Media ownership is a tricky thing. When is it too much? When does it hurt the consumers? Us. Our job is to make sense of the systems around us and, when necessary, as critical consumers of the media, make sure that those systems are not forgotten or overwritten. Well, that's all for now. Take it easy, take care of yourselves and each other, and we'll catch you next time.